Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and we've made it to day 12 of Listmas 2020. So that means it's the final day of Listmas for this year, so make sure to go check out any other videos in the playlist that you've missed out on. But since it's day 12, that officially means we finally made it to the end, and to my top 25 roller coasters list. So you'll probably notice this pretty early on in this list, but I didn't get to ride many new coasters this year because of everything that happened, and I technically only visited one new park. But I did get 5 new coasters in, and at least a couple of them have made my top 25. And overall, I would say there's been a little bit of reshuffling, especially in some places you wouldn't exactly expect. But without further ado, let's jump into my honorable mentions. So the 5 coasters I would definitely put in my honorable mentions and pretty much my 26 to 30 spot include Riddler's Revenge at Magic Mountain, Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain, Medusa at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, Batman the Ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and Texas Stingray at SeaWorld San Antonio. All these rides are incredible and I love them dearly, but they just missed this list, and maybe through some more rides in the future, they might re-emerge or get onto this list for the first time. But with that, let's head to number 25. At 25, I have MANTA at SeaWorld San Diego, the mock launch coaster, which, while it is a family coaster in all technical aspects, it gives some amazing themed elements, as well as awesome airtime, and some great terrain interaction. This ride is a must-hit for anyone traveling to Southern California. Next up at 24, we have Full Throttle at Six Flags Magic Mountain, the premier multi-launch coaster, which has a 160-foot tall loop, which is just insane, and that's without even mentioning the backwards launch and 80-degree drop. At 23, we stay at Six Flags Magic Mountain for Apocalypse the Ride, which is a GCI wooden coaster that gives some great airtime, laterals, and even theming for an awesome experience all around. We head to Cedar Point for their floorless coaster, ROUGAROU, which I'm sure you've seen in some of the other lists posted earlier, but this ride to me has one of the best layouts of all time, and while sure it might not be exactly the smoothest, it is my favorite floorless coaster, at least at the moment. Now at 21, we moved to a defunct coaster, and that is Screamer at Scandia, Ontario, which sadly no longer exists. But because I wrote it and I still think it deserves a spot on this list, it's right here at 21. Now at number 20, we go to GEMINI at Cedar Point, which is a mine train that's dueling and on steroids. It's a fantastic ride, and you definitely need to ride it whenever you visit the park. At number 19, we head to the heart of Texas for ZDT'S own Switchback, the Gravity Group shuttle wooden coaster, which means you go forwards and backwards along this track, and it is an unforgettable experience and worth the hour drive outside of San Antonio. At number 18, we head back to Cedar Point, which we will be doing a lot on this list because they have tons of coasters. But this is Gatekeeper, the first coaster you see as you walk in. It's a B&M wing coaster, meaning you sit off to the side of the track, and it is super graceful, forceful, and fun, and I definitely recommend this ride as one of the first you ride at the park. Now we get to the biggest change in comparison to last year, and that is for number 17. For the new West Coast Racers. That's right, Six Flags Magic Mountain's newest roller coaster has made it in at number 17 on this list. Now, while it might end up going higher and higher as the years go on, at least right now with my limited number of rides, since it was technically fully operational for just under 2 months, I didn't get as many rides as I would have liked on this coaster, but I will say, being number 17 on this list already in its first 2 full months of operation is amazing. And I gotta say, it's easily one of my favorite coasters at Magic Mountain. Now at number 16, we head to Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, California for their RMC Joker, which has some incredible inversions, lateral forces, and of course airtime. This ride to me is the best ride at that park, and it is something you cannot sleep on. Now at number 15, we head just a little bit south to California's Great America for Gold Striker, the GCI wooden coaster, which used to be one of my favorite rides of all time. but it has gotten a little rough over the years, so that's why it's dropped quite a lot. But this ride is definitely still amazing, and I can't wait to ride it again soon. Now at number 14, we have Six Flags Magic Mountain's TATSU, the B&M flying coaster, which has the largest pretzel loop in the world. And even beyond that insane inversion, this ride is super graceful and fun and literally makes you feel like you're flying. Now getting to number 13, we have XCELERATOR at Knott's Berry Farm, the Intamin hydraulic launch coaster, which shoots you from 0 to 82 miles an hour in just over 2 seconds. Now outside of that incredible launch, there's a 205-foot top hat and of course some really intense overbank turns that makes this ride stand out above most launch coasters I've been on. Now at number 12, we head to Erie, Pennsylvania for Waldamir's own RAVINE Flyer 2, the Gravity Group wooden coaster, which just offers one of the most scenic and beautiful rides on any coaster I've ever experienced, while offering incredible airtime, laterals, and even head choppers. My only complaint with this ride is it has gotten a little rough, but I cannot wait to get back to this ride, especially for some night rides. Now at number 11, we have another newcomer, and that is Steel Eel at SeaWorld San Antonio. This ride really did shock me overall with its incredible airtime. Now sure, it's a little bumpy and rough, but being vaulted out of your seat for over 5 seconds straight, over and over and over again, is just a phenomenal experience that I could never say no to. So that's why it goes all the way up to my number 11 spot. Now, before we get to 10, I do want to remind you all that while yes, at the moment this is my top 25, I do want to say this list changes on the daily, and if not, on the hour. Before recording this audio, I changed the list about 50 times, and while yes, a lot of these rides on this list are almost exactly the same as last year, it literally took me hours of thinking about it to come to this extremely similar situation. But anyway, let's move on to number 10, which is CANNIBAL at Lagoon in Utah, which still hosts the steepest drop on any coaster I've ever experienced at 116 degrees, and it features my favorite inversion of all time, that Lagoon roll. It is just tasty in the best way, and I can't wait to get back out to Utah to get some more amazing rides on this beast. Now, in the same vein as Steel Eel a couple numbers earlier, number 9 is MAGNUM XL 200, what I consider to be just a step up from that ride. And it offers some of the strongest airtime moments I've ever experienced easily. And it does it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in a row nonstop. It is just insane all around. And while yes, it is quite bumpy and not the best ride overall, those moments put it up all the way at number 9 for me. Now at number 8, we head to Knott's Berry Farm for the wooden coaster GHOSTRIDER, which is a phenomenal experience, especially at night. And I gotta say, it's easily one of my favorite coasters of all time, especially in my heart. The immense airtime and laterals make this coaster a standout in Southern California, and I love it to bits and can't wait to get back on it. Now at number 7, we head back to Cedar Point for Millennium Force, which was the world's first Giga coaster. Now this coaster broke so many barriers, and while yes, 20 years on, it doesn't seem that impressive, for some reason or another I fell in love with this ride. And if I had to ride any coaster for the rest of my life and nothing else, it would be this. Now to me, it's not necessarily the best, but I will say there's just something about it that I absolutely adore. Now, moving to number 6, this is probably where a lot of people are going to be shocked, because I have the RMC at Six Flags Magic Mountain Twisted Colossus. That's right, Twisted Colossus has fallen a little bit for me over the past year, and that's mainly because it doesn't duel as much as I would prefer. Sure, it has the incredible airtime, hang time, and pretty much the longest ride experience in all of California, but I feel like it's gotten a little hurt over the past couple of years in its standing because it doesn't duel every single time. Now, if it did, this ride would probably be in my top 3, but as of right now, at least in the current moment, I have this amazing and wonderful ride, don't get me wrong, at number 6. Now at number 5 is another surprise, I'm sure, but this is X2 at the same park, Six Flags Magic Mountain, the Aero 4th Dimensional roller coaster. This thing is insane. Now, I used to not be the biggest fan of the ride, and literally a year ago, I would have said it's a 50-50 ride. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's terrible. And while that's still true, I've gotten some amazing back row rides over the past year, and they blew my mind. Everything about the back row to me just elevated the insanity of this ride 3 or 4-fold. And that's why at the current moment, I would put this over Twisted Colossus. Now give me a dueling ride at night with Twisted Colossus, then it's definitely harder to choose. But right now, with Twisted and X2 running like they were back in February and January, I gotta put X2 just above it. Now heading to number 4, we have technically 2 coasters, and this is RAILBLAZER and Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster at California's Great America and Six Flags Fiesta Texas respectively. These are RMC Raptors, and technically they're near clones. Now these rides are just non-stop intensity for a straight 30 seconds. From an insane drop to crazy inversions to literally one of the best airtime moments I've ever experienced, these Raptor models are incredible and are the most intense coasters I've ever ridden, outside of X2 of course. But I love these rides, and the more and more I ride them, the more and more I love them. So I can't wait to see more iterations of this ride with new layouts showing up all over the US, hopefully very soon. But now we've made it to the top 3. And at number 3, I have another RMC, and this is Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, which features my favorite first drop of all time, and incredible interactions with the terrain around it. Add that in with some awesome airtime, and just really graceful and quick elements. This ride to me for the longest time was the perfect attraction. Now, while I will say it is a little on the short side, some of those elements just make up for that in the best way possible. But now, we've made it to the top 2, which means we're heading back to Cedar Point, as you probably guessed, for Maverick, the Intamin Blitz coaster, which to me is just insane all around. A 95-degree drop, a 70-mile-an-hour launch, and of course some of my favorite moments on any coasters ever. In the Stangle dives, the airtime hills, and everything in between. This ride is near perfect to me, and I love it to bits. And honestly, this would be my number 1 coaster, if maybe it had 1 or 2 more elements. But of course, an abundance of elements to me means one ride in particular. And that's my number 1. Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point still holds the crown for the best coaster that I think I've personally been on. With its ridiculously long ride time and literally the most airtime in duration on any coaster ever built. This ride is phenomenal all around and gives some of the best airtime moments, lateral forces, and what I would personally argue is the best part of the ride is the inversions. But of course, when we talk best part of the ride for this, it's everything mixed together. Because of how long this ride is, it literally outpaces almost every ride I've ever been on. And to be honest, if you took out a couple of the elements in the coaster, I would probably say Maverick or even Iron Rattler could beat this ride out. But because it's just so long and packed to the brim, there is nothing to me that can beat it, at least that I've been on. And as my good buddy Mario said one time, Steel Vengeance is like a pizza. If you don't have all of the ingredients together, it just isn't a pizza. So sure, the Outer Bank turn is your dough. That's incredible. But then you just have dough. The inversions are your cheese. While cheese is incredibly good, alone it can just do so much. With the first drop as your sauce, boom, you have a standard pizza. But it's not the best in the world. Now, of course, you add in everything else that this coaster has to offer, and you've got all the toppings you could ever ask for to make a brilliant and tasty meal from start to finish. And this ride to me is really the definition of the sum is greater than all of its parts. So there you have it. The crazy journey of Listmas 2020 is officially over. And so is my top 25 coasters list, at least of 2020. Now, do remember, do not take this as gospel. It is just my personal opinion, and I would love to see what your guys' top 5 is down in the comments below, so make sure to let me know. But hopefully next year in 2021, I can ride tons more coasters and change this list up completely. But I figured it would be kind of cool to look back at the previous years and compare all of the rankings I've ever done of my top coasters, just so you can see how everything is moved around, and of course the new rides that I rode that year or season. But man, 2020 has been quite the adventure in both good and bad ways. It's made me really appreciate these places that I love even more, and of course appreciate my family and friends on a new level. So with that, I'll say thank you so much for watching all of these incredible videos, and of course getting us to 9,000 subscribers. And I guess I'll add in a thank you also to Chris, who is the newest member to the channel. And if you'd like to support what we do even more than subscribing, commenting, and liking, join the channel today because it helps us even more than you know. And you get to use some cool emojis. But anyway, that's enough ranting from me, and I'll leave you with this. I couldn't be here without you, and you've picked me up all the time when I fall down, and for that I am eternally grateful. You guys are the best, and as the sun sets on 2020, make sure to keep you and your loved ones safe. And hopefully next year is full of coaster riding, hanging out with friends, and having fun new experiences. But of course, until then, we'll see you on the next ride.